Harry says race played a part in how Meghan was treated by the media, but also by the royal family.
Some of the members of the family was like, right, but my wife had to go through that, so why should your girlfriend be treated any differently? Why should you get special treatment? Why should she be protected? And I said, the difference here is the race element.
That I mentioned that I hadn't ever thought of Meghan as a person of colour, and her own agent in California also said that he hadn't known that Meghan was a person of colour. He thought she was a sun-kissed Californian and that he had no notion of this. And this whole race row thing, I just think, has been blown completely out of context.
And that's precisely what I was talking about when I said this is this all lives matter thing. Because all lives matter is the idea that we shouldn't say Black Lives Matter. You should say all lives matter as if we've already got equality, as if we just carry on as if there's nothing that actually needs to be fixed. If Jack has 3 sweets, sorry, if Jack has 5 sweets and Jill has 3 sweets, if you give both of them 2 extra sweets, Jack still has more. If you're dealing with a status quo that is inequality, you have to do something to fix that. And so when we're talking about the media, you do need to address the fact that the media has been racist towards Meghan. They have run articles like straight out of Compton. They have shown a completely completely unfair treatment compared to Meghan versus Kate. Remember the story about how, oh, it's so amazing that Kate's eating avocados as her pregnancy treat, whereas when Meghan was eating avocados, they said that, oh, avocados are linked to murder and drought and war in poorer countries. That we have got that unfair treatment, so the royal family should have done something about it, but they didn't, and that's what Harry was calling out. Not to mention what's happened recently with Lady Hussey and those comments towards Ngozi Fulani just shows further evidence of there is a problem in the royal family when it comes to race, and they're entirely right to speak out about it.
But where is the evidence there's a problem in the royal family? I mean, I take your point that there's evidence of racial bias in some of the media, in the coverage of some of the media. But where within the royal family? I mean, because Lady Susan Hussey's not a member of the royal family. She's a lady in waiting, a woman of a certain age and all that kind of stuff. We understand that story, but where's the royal family in this?
Well, for starters, she was the Queen's aide, if I remember that correctly. And as for the problem in the royal family, it's what I'm describing. It's that failure to make allowances for the fact and accommodations for the fact that race plays a part in the treatment of Meghan, and as a royal family, they should do more to deal with that. For example, they were happy to come out and say that racism has no place in the royal family when it comes to protecting the image of the royal family, but when it comes to actually protecting a member of the royal family who is of a different race, they did nothing, and that's what Harry was calling out.
Essentially, he says the monarchy was built on racism and colonialism. What do you say, Femi?
I'd say that, yeah, obviously, I mean, the royal family did fund slavery, so that is simply a matter of historical fact. So as a modern
Charles
family,
II started the Atlantic slave trade.
There you go. And so as a modern royal family, you would hope that they would try and take a stand and say, all right, when we see racism in the media, when we see racism directed, especially including at one of our own, we would at least use that opportunity to show that, hey, we're not like the people of the past. We understand that we should be a society, a modern world of equals, and we don't like that anymore. That would be what we'd hope to see from them, but we haven't seen that up to this point, and that's one of the reasons why Harry and Meghan left the royal family. And another point that is really important about this documentary is it counters one of the major accusations that's made at the Sussexes, which is that you want this quiet life, but you're sticking yourself in front of the camera. That idea that they want a quiet life did not come from them. You've seen that. You've seen them in the show. Mm-hmm. They're activists at the UN level, campaigning on every topic from feminism, Me Too, climate change. They're doing that all the time. There's no suggestion that they want to just slink into the shadows. What they don't want is constant harassment by paparazzi and constant racism in the media. They showed the direct parallels between their lives and Diana, because often we hear, well, the paparazzi followed Diana, the paparazzi followed them, but it's actually deeper than that. Mm-hmm. We saw Diana actually getting in the face of one of the paparazzi saying, look, these are my children, stay away, we're on holiday. And I think if that's who you look up to, I can understand why Harry would, looking up to his mum, think, I'm going to take on the media as well. And so this sort of thing is very much, I feel, following his mother's footsteps in that regard.